Welcome, wonderful listeners, to the Shadow and Starlight Podcast, where two friends delve into popular fantasy and romantasy books. We get into the stories, characters, world building, lore, and more. And most importantly, we will have a damn good time while doing it.
So, buckle your seatbelts for this wild roller coaster ride of emotions, magical worlds, and laughs. I'm Kinsey.
I'm Kana.
Today we are covering chapters 55 through 77 of When the Moon Hatched by Sarah A. Parker.
First and foremost, please listen carefully to our content warning. These are adult books we're covering, and neither of us have a filter, so this podcast is rated R and for those 18 plus. Regarding spoilers, if you have not finished the entire When the Moon Hatched book, please come back after doing so. While we are discussing a certain stretch of chapters, we will be doing so with the perspective of what happens in the entire book for better understanding. This will help us dive deeper into our theories and appreciate the masterful foreshadowing of Sarah A. Parker. Going forward, all episodes on our show will contain spoilers for the whole series in question.
Next, if you like what you hear today and want more, please come back next Thursday, and next Thursday, and next Thursday, and next Thursday, and every Thursday after that for a new episode. As a new podcast, we would love to hear your feedback to better ourselves and expand our book-loving community. Please feel free to give us reviews, reach out to us on social media, and follow us on TikTok, Instagram, and watch us on YouTube at Shadow and Starlight Pod.
Yes. Lastly, another reminder that we have 2 more weeks of When the Moon Hatched coverage after this episode, and then we'll start our Quicksilver coverage by Callie Hart on October 10th. And I also saw a few days ago that the audiobook for Quicksilver will be releasing October 29th, I think it was.
Mm-hmm.
And I am so excited. But before I get too excited about that, let's dive into today's episode.
Yay! To kick off today's episode 3, Kayla's going to lead us through our Shadow and Starlight synopsis, aka her unhinged summary detailing the events of these chapters.
Yes. All right, let's get started. So once again, we open up our synopsis with Raeve down bad again. She's freezing cold, head busted, clinging to a tree, and some warriors come across her speaking a strange language and pull her from the river. No surprise to us, she tries to escape, as she loves to do, but the fate herder, a big, unbothered, fluffy kitty cat that makes my inner cat lady go wild, prevents her from doing so. The warriors revere the cat and Raeve, kneeling and calling her Kolu. I hope I'm saying that right. Oh, God.
I think so.
It's too late now. Having no choice, Raeve follows the warriors into the dope-ass dragon bone home of the Joe Cole clan, where everyone stares at her and drops to their knees. Strange. I can't imagine what was going through her head. I guess we do understand what's going through her head, but can you imagine if everyone's saying a foreign language and you're like, why is everyone kneeling? I'm just trying to go murder someone. Let me out.
Right. I'm just trying to go get my revenge on this guy named Rick.
She is then brought before the Oa and Oe. Again, don't know if I'm saying that right, so bear with me, y'all. And Raeve watches as 2 warriors step forward, and they are bathed in freshly slain Kolk blood. Ew. Siza, a woman of the clan, explains their prophecy that Kolu's offspring will tether the moons to the sky forever, and that a Tookah Trial must happen. Very, very interesting. And yes, we'll be talking about this in the theories later.
Yes.
Raeve is obviously displeased by everything that's unraveling, but she agrees to be bathed and painted in blood. After all, she does have vomit in her hair and probably stank. After freshening up, everyone heads into a massive battle pit formed by a fallen saber scythe moon. Interesting. And Raeve is prompted to accept the Malmare of Hawk and Zarin. As they begin fighting to the death, Siza lets her know that no big deal, they're fighting to be her husband and baby daddy. In iconic and feminist Raeve style, she headbutts Hawk after he wins, insisting that she fights for herself and that she did not choose this fate. Despite the Joe Cole's shock, they agree to let her fight as long as our fluffy kitty cat friend doesn't stop her. Before entering the ring, Raeve spits a few more iconic feminist queen lines before fighting Hawk. Like the little bitch he is, Hawk is so afraid of losing to a woman in combat that he resorts to cheating via venomous pocket snake and playing dead to protect his fragile ego. He lands a strike to her head, then demands her surrender. Laughing and telling him to fuck right off, Raeve accepts her death, but waits. Rygun enters the chat, and also Khan, rage and ruin and flames in his eyes. For some mysterious reason she won't think about too hard, Raeve is literally trembling with relief at the sight of her man, who's not her man. Worried about his ego again, Hawk challenges Khan to battle, even though Khan is his greater. Raeve is given an antidote, and Khan kneels before her. Oh my god. and gives her his Malmer. Like the absolute gem he is, he announces that Raeve is his greater and will take his title should he fall, this way ensuring that she will get out of this shit show unclaimed. Ugh, my god.
So cute.
I love him so much. The battle begins and does not last long, and Khan walks away slightly injured and with Hawk's head in hand. Raeve slips on his Malmer and gives Khan some sass just before blacking out again. And then we are treated to a wonderful Khan point of view. Holding his love on Dragonback, they land at the Burns' Imperial stronghold in Dom. Vea shows up, using Khan's full government name, demanding he tell her who is in his arms. She is shocked at seeing Rave's face, and the three head into the feasting hall to find Agni, a multi-talented Bruni who can flesh thread. When Khan fills them in, on whose blood is all over Raeve and her memory loss, Bea punches him 3 times and Pyrock drops a jar, declaring why in the hell Raeve looks like Eluin Navan. The plot thickens. In another sleep-deprived broody boy pop, Khan and his rage buddy Grim fight off their anger in a training room. And then we are treated to a wonderful Vea pop, and I love her. I'm obsessed. Raeve has been healed for the millionth time, and Agni reveals she saw an obscene amount of runes and a very strange killing wound on her heart that glows a mysterious shade of silver. Yep, pretty sure that's our missing moon shard. As readers, we also learn that Vea is heavily traumatized by both her father and her toxic murder twin brothers, being punished for simply being a badass and winning her own Tookah Trial, which is apparently a disgrace to most Vhagar men. At the end of her POV, Vea resolves to find Eluin's diary to help her regain her memory. In the next chapter, Raeve finally awakes and has a rather entertaining standoff between her and Vea. Vea clearly holds on to some resentment to Eluin, aka Raeve, and warns her not to hurt her dear brother Khan, who she may or may not have just punched 3 times. And Raeve surprises both of them by calling out Vea's name, almost like she remembers. All right, in our next set of chapters, Raeve puts on some Phaetians, steals a candlestick, and all of the snacks available while playing Scrippy with Pyrock and Grim. Asking for some directions, she takes off for a curly quill with Pyrock as her escort. Thinking about her escape, Raeve is shocked to learn just how non-toxic Dom is and how wholly different it is compared to the Shade and the Fade. Despite this, she tries really, really, really hard to hate this place, which is just pointless, girl. Raeve enters the local Curly Quill to get her mind ravaged by the owner Vroon, who reveals some rather interesting things about Rave's internal lake and how it harbors so much trauma, so many secrets, and so much depth. And he also comments on what a nasty piece of work Sareem is, which just made me giggle a little. Raeve is basically panicking the entire time, and just when he is about to tell her there's a whole dragon inside of her, as well as some other probably life-changing information, she leaves to avoid hearing anything else. After this, Raeve gets a much-needed cup of mead with Pyrock as he laughs while she struggles through her 37th attempt to get her iron cuff off. The two conversate and she pounds mead, determined to get, quote, utterly smashed if she has to sleep in the same place as his Imperial Highness, or God forbid, deal with some of her trauma. And before she knows it, she and Khan are on their first official date. Khan and Pyrock, you little minxes. Basically fucking speechless because he is that hot, and I swear to God, they are mates. Raeve tries to steer the conversation away from what she can't stop picturing in her mind. And spoiler alert, it's his head between her legs. Ooh. Khan takes off her iron cuff, and Raeve is reunited with her favorite crazy bitch, Claude. On their date, we get confirmation again of just how good Khan is and that he has actually been preparing the burn and building an armada to take down his murder brothers. While he continues explaining the implications of the impending war, she begs him to stop shoving his scorching declaration and their scorching chemistry that is growing far too fast in her icy lake where she puts all of her other shit. Leaving his Malmer on the table, she rushes out and has yet another mental breakdown. Spiraling, she is unable to block out Rain's mournful song and explodes in tears, begging for the song to stop. Khan, the king he is, has followed her out and comforts her with a warm hug and an all too familiar tune that Raeve often hums to herself when she's distraught. He tells her about a female he once knew that cried every time it rained, and Raeve surprises the both of them by saying Eluin's name. When he instructs her to follow him, she surprises us all by actually doing what he says and not arguing.
Yeah. I find it so weird that she's conscious of like little tidbits of her past life.
Yeah. Like she remembered Bea's name and Eluan's name. Like all of it is just buried in her little lake situation. And I'm like, girl,
just pull it all back up. Remember
Please.
already.
All right, now Kenzie is going to take us through the diary entries portion of this stretch of chapters. Side note that up till this point we thought it was Aetherstone and it's actually Etherstone, but in my defense it does start with an A, so my brain.
It does.
But from now on we'll be calling it the Etherstone, or trying to.
Yeah, trying to like reprogram our brains to pronounce it right.
It's actually really hard. I feel like every time I read a fantasy book, I have these set pronunciations in my head, and then if it doesn't like match what I have, I'm just like, yeah, fuck it. I like what I had better.
Right. Yeah.
Sorry.
All right. In this stretch of chapters, our girl Eluan is still mourning the loss of her family. She's now bearing the Aetherstone. Yep, Etherstone, and is being forced out of her home. Yep, Eluan is still down bad, but an entourage of beaded guards from the Burn, Fade, and Bothame, I'm assuming that's how you say that, retrieves Raeve from Erythia and flies her to Dom, while her home is being warded. The Tri-Council chooses her fate and demands she marry Tyrant Tyroth Vapor. As we know, Moon Plumes rarely survive the heat, and we know that Raeve is now traveling to the Burn, so where is Slotra in all of this? Well, she's right there with her people, and this absolutely guts Raeve to watch her dragon suffer on her behalf. So much so that she wishes she'd never charmed the dragon in the first place. Once they finally arrive to the Burn and Raeve bonds with a certain queen from the Fade, is that Dorothea? Raeve accompanies Slotra in her hutch, and that is pretty much where she stays during her time in the Burn. But then, enter Khan again? Yep, that's right. Eluan and Khan meet for the first time again. Finally, they form a connection immediately. You know how you just look at somebody and you want to climb them like a tree? Well, this is Eluan's exact thoughts in this moment. Because in the book, it says that they sad, but she can eye contact. Yes. In the book, it says they make eye contact and they just immediately just form a bond. Like, yes. Staring into those sexy and broody and mysterious and soothing eyes of none other than Khan Luke Vagor. Yes, I remember his whole name from when
his whole government name.
Yes, it's iconic. I can't forget it now. Khan asks her about her dragon and asks if she had any food. And let me just say, Cameron still doesn't understand that food is literally the key to my heart. And the fact that Khan just meets this girl for the first time and immediately just asks her, have you eaten anything yet? It's just beautiful. Like, gentlemen, please take notes.
That's the secret to women. Like, yes. Never let your women get hangry or you're in trouble.
Literally. Gentlemen, take notes, please.
Weston's constantly giving me snacks.
Cameron's so stingy. I'm like, literally, like, all you gotta do is give me food.
Literally share. And then I'll be happy for like a month.
Right. Anywho, basically, Khan shows up every day and makes sure our girl Eluan has had a decent meal. And by this, I mean he basically fixes her meals and brings them to her. And welcome to the chat, Vaya again. Yep, we get 2-for-1 special this stretch, people. Raeve and Eluan get to meet Vaya this stretch of chapters. Vaya offers Eluan comeback lessons, literally the start to any great friendship. And I'm pretty sure Kana offered me comeback lessons the first time we met. If I'm remembering correctly. No, but I'm just going to say that you did because we have a pretty epic friendship. Like, in my head, I remember us meeting at the volleyball club, and I remember you just being so tall, and you were like, damn, dude, you want to learn how to, like, you want to learn comeback? And I was like, yeah. And then we walked out of there, and we went and got on the back of our badass dragons to some random rooftop, and we just started learning how to fight. So that's how I remember it in my head. I don't know how you remember it.
I am going to remember it like that from now on, because that's awesome. Oh my God. Y'all, we're not even through our synopsis section, and my cheeks hurt so bad from all the smiling and laughing. All right, but we made it, most importantly, and now we're in chapter chat.
Yes, now that we have finished the summary, it's time to head into our chapter chat section where we will discuss all notable things in this stretch of chapters, including theories, foreshadowing, and more.
Yes. So the first thing I wanted to talk about was the foreshadowing of Khan and Rave's relationship and their past. We're not going to get too into this because there's so many other things we have to talk about, you'll see. But aside from their past, I thought it was interesting that we learned from Khan's Pav what happened after Eluin was murdered. So he actually opened the Imperial stronghold to those outside the Imperial family. And Khan, quote, filled it with enough noise to drown out the plague of silence after I tore Pa's head from his shoulders and took the city haunted by the ghost of her. Blood rained, the loft blushed, and Raygun feasted that day. I thought it would make me feel better. It didn't, end quote. There are an abundance of other references regarding their past relationship in these chapters, but I felt like it was important to talk about Khan's mindset after her death. His total rage just showcases how strongly he felt about Eluin, and dare I say, again, they're probably mates. So we know that Khan is like the king of restraint and political wholesomeness. So him going to these murderous lengths may be a primal reaction to his mate dying. At least that's what I think.
Yeah, I really appreciated this scene and this bit of information because we both been saying this whole time that we really wish we got to see or understand his emotions after her death and really get to understand how he felt. And I feel like this stretch of chapters we get more of his point of view and we get how he was really feeling when she died. So I love that we got this bit of information.
Yes.
The next thing we're going to talk about is Raife's past, and we do get a couple flashback scenes in this stretch of chapters. We actually get our first flashback scene where Raeve is starting to remember some tidbits from the past. So the first one we get is on page 355, during the Tookah Trial. Raeve is overwhelmed and is thrown into this vision, and we know this vision is a flashback, as I just said. And we ask ourselves, is Raeve starting to remember some of the things from her past life? So this flashback occurs when Khan finds Raeve in the midst of fighting Hawk, and sadly at this point, she's at the brink of death after she's hit in the head and is injected with freaking serpent venom because Hawk is literally just
a little
Hawk.
Bitch.
Yeah. And she was doing pretty good at holding her own again until she was injected with venom in her chest during the fight. And as our girl Raeve said, Hawk just couldn't listen to a female half his size. Just his name pisses me off.
The name just gave me the ick immediately. I knew I was going to hate this mofo.
How dare you be named Hawk?
The audacity of your mother.
Anyways, unfortunately, Khan shows up after the snake bite and after the head injury, but he still swoops in to save the day on the back of a badass dragon, might I add. Hello, Ragon. Okay. That sounded so much better in my head.
No, I think it's cute. You're flirting with the dragon, basically.
I love Ragon. So during Khan's attempt to save Raeve, the soul announced that Raeve could not leave the trial unclaimed despite her attempts at trying to regain claim over her own damn body and her life. Khan offers Raeve his Malmir and announces her as his greater. They pronounce it differently in the book, but I'm scared to pronounce the word. So in English terms, the word is greater. This means that no matter the outcome, Raeve can walk away unclaimed and receive no dishonor. So let's give it up for Khan freaking Luke freaking Vagor, everybody. I'm going to say his whole name throughout this whole episode. I love it. So I said all that to say that the Malmir somehow reminded her of a time in her past life. Not only had she seen it before, but she wore it. And in her flashback, it says, quote, Khan's Malmir resting between my naked breasts, end quote. So the question is, why does the Malmir trigger this vision? That's just my question. I don't have anything else for that. I just want to know why it triggers the vision and why she has a flashback.
I guess because she loved it when she was Eluin.
Yeah, I feel like maybe she had a deep connection to it.
I guess she wore it all the time.
Isn't it his dragon and her dragon?
Yeah, it's a saber scythe and then a moon plume on the other side. It's almost like a yin and yang. I feel like it symbolizes
that's how I pictured it.
Also their dragons.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess that's why she's so attached to it. And it's just a representation of their relationship in a way.
Yeah. Well, it was pretty damn
Yeah.
special to her because she had a flashback after seeing it for the first time again.
Yeah, she did.
And then her second flashback comes after she wakes up from a head injury in Dom, which is the capital of the burn where Khan rules as king. Her flashback quotes as follows, quote, I gripped the burnished mirror, easing it to the side, revealing a hollow cavity in the stone behind. I thread my arm into the hole, pulling out a leather-bound book I tugged close to my chest, end quote. This flashback is of her secret hiding spot for her diary, which we know is what Elowen is writing her entries in. This is the same diary that Raeve is having this vision about. Elowen wrote some of her deepest, darkest secrets in this diary and some things that she could probably potentially have gotten killed over. So hiding it was a pretty good idea. Being back inside of Khan's palace, I'm gonna just assume that's what it is. She remembers writing in this diary and hiding it behind the mirror. So we do get a glimpse of her past life here.
Yeah. I love how, especially in this flashback, she has it and then she literally looks in her room and sees the spot that she just had a flashback about.
Right.
And she's like, oh, that's weird. If I was her, I would be like, what the fuck is going on? I need to find someone. I gotta know the answers. Why am I having visions about a place I don't remember? And she's just like, well, that's weird. I'm gonna go murder someone now.
Literally, we know that Raeve is notorious for ignoring her emotions. So this is just prime Raeve right now.
It's prime. It's prime time.
The last thing that I want. Are you okay? You know what you look like? You look like the kid in class that's trying not to laugh, trying not to get in trouble laughing in class, and you're just trying to hold it in, and you just bust out laughing.
Yeah, that's my total vibe today. I would recommend listeners you watch us on YouTube because these facial expressions are also prime time.
Yeah, I feel like you have to see it to understand what's going on here.
Yeah.
And then for our listeners, I hope our giggles are contagious. The next thing I want to talk about was this dream that we get on page 395. So we have had a couple of her dreams in the past chapters, and there usually are chapter openers, but I found this one very interesting, and I'll read it out. It starts as, quote, a scolding word burns hot on my tongue, sputters against my lips, hopelessness stomping me like a world lumped on my chest. There's an ache in my heart that's leaking. I think I'm leaking with it, reaching for something I can't grasp. Fingers outstretched, desperate to tangle with something important, something mine, end quote.
I found that so interesting too.
Yes. Again, most of Ray's dreams are chapter openers, and most are about her past trauma of her time with the Scavenger King. And I can't help but to think that this dream is the same. And I actually thought a few different things as I read this. The first thing I thought is it could be her connection to Kaisari, since Kaisari is currently being held captive with the Scavenger King. Could this be her unconsciously feeling her daughter's pain and suffering? Or could it be that her being back in the burn has stirred up some old feelings as well? My mind went back to her giving birth to Kazari as well. We know that she died shortly after, and I'm thinking that this was her just being aware that she was dying in this dream. Maybe this is her being aware of her dying. I don't know, but that's kind of where my mind went to. So I don't know, it could be her reaching for her daughter before dying. I don't know which one it could be, but I feel like the dream is definitely connected to Kaisari in some way because we always get references
of so
something greater.
That's how I interpreted it. Yeah. At this point, we know that she got stabbed in the heart, and that's how she dies.
Right.
And then described as an ache in her heart that's leaking, and she's leaking with him. Okay, I think that's when she was murdered. Yeah. And then the something important, something mine. I'm 99% convinced that's Kaisari.
Yeah.
But it could be something else.
I don't know. It was just thrown in there. It was a random thing that we get in the middle of this stretch of chapters, and I was like, this is interesting that she just threw this in there.
And the plot continues to thicken. Another aspect of Rave's past that I wanted to talk about is when she's struggling to understand just her general situation, as well as the language that the Joe Cole clan was speaking. We get a reference to her time as the Fire Lark. Quote, it all begins to remind me of a different place, a different time. When I was just as confused about what the hell was going on, my vocabulary failed to stretch further than a few huffing grunts I'd used to try and explain my needs, end quote. So we know from the last episode that Raeve actually learned how to write when she was with the Scavenger King with a piece of coal. And this is a reminder that Fallon taught her how to speak as well. This is interesting because this lets us know that after she hatched, she had no memory, like no ability to speak or write. And I was wondering, so her fighting skills as the Firelark, was that something that she was taught from the Scavenger King, or if her body had that muscle memory from when Vea taught her combat? I just thought that was interesting because she couldn't speak or write at all. So I'm like, was it just a
Right.
clean slate and she had to completely relearn and reteach herself, or does she actually have
Yeah.
some muscle memory?
Yeah, I think this
Random.
also raises questions for Fallon too. We know that Fallon has something to do with her relearning how to speak and write, but did she have something to do with her learning how to fight again? Like, we just have a lot of questions, like a lot of holes to fill as far as like her time with the Scavenger King and her time with Fallon. So that is interesting.
I know. I'm really hoping book 2 we get a lot of her time as the Firelark and learn more about Fallon.
Yeah.
I'm betting we will. I feel like it would be weird to learn that in the 3rd book, but you never know. All right. Another aspect of foreshadowing we want to talk about is Raeve and motherhood. So we just talked about Kaisari, but I wanted to touch on it again. When she's standing before the thrones and the leaders of the Joe Cole clan, she is struck with a very strong emotion. Quote, "The male cups the head of their babe and plants a kiss on its brow. I pull my attention from the intimate moment that's strangely painful to watch, looking skyward." End quote. Another interesting connection in these chapters is when Raeve learns that the warriors in the Tookah Trial are fighting for the right to bind and make offspring with her. And she has a very, very strong reaction to this. And this is understandable, of course, because, you know, she didn't choose this fate. She just want to marry and have babies with some random guy. But I also think that this reaction may also be because of like the trauma and the bad memories she experienced while pregnant with Kaisari. We know that to protect her child, she was forced to give up her true love Khan and concede to Tyroth and Ostern, and then was murdered, knowing that her daughter was going to be raised by a tyrant and that wasn't her daughter's true father. At this point, I wonder, like, if Rave's past as Eluin affects the way she sees things and reacts, and she's so determined not to have offspring because she has such pain in her past from Kaisari. But also, I'm sure you probably wouldn't want to have children with how much trauma she has as well. But despite her memory loss, I'm sure her body probably still carries some of that trauma. And it's obvious, again, because of the quote, she's not even able to look at the leader of the Jokel clan kiss his baby, and it's really painful for her. So it's so sad. It really is.
Yeah.
I'm like dying for her and Kaisari to get reunited.
I know. I feel like this could be her unconsciously remembering some of the, like you said, trauma that she faced in the past, because in her past life, she was forced to marry somebody that she didn't want to marry, and she was going to have to bear his children, even though it didn't turn out that way. That was the plan. So maybe this is just her body just remembering, or just remembering in general, the feelings that she had in the past towards this, and just her not knowing that this is where this stems from.
Yeah. So girl, go to therapy.
Literally.
Go to therapy? Like
therapy.
Therapy
Ooh.
for Faye. Therapy.
I'm gonna start calling it that now when I go.
Yes. Your therapist is gonna be like, we have got some serious issues to deal with. She writes down, she thinks she's a fairy.
She was a fairy.
Yes.
I actually used to run around the house in fairy wings when I was little, so I mean, this is nothing new.
Oh my god, we knew this would happen. Well, we didn't, but it's not really a surprise that we got here.
No.
I used to, in my backyard, we had a swing, and I would swing on it, and I would pretend I was like riding horses in the wilderness.
Nice. Nothing can beat your imagination. Prime childhood right there.
No, it really can't. No screens, just riding horses on a swing. It's a good thing I didn't know about dragons, but I would have definitely been riding a dragon. All right, let's talk about Slatra.
Yes. When Raeve is paying her respects to Orva before the trial, there is an interaction between Slatra and Raeve that gives us insight on how dragons feel about their use of Fae Wars as well as the Fallen Moons. Quote, "I reach out a hand, pausing just before my fingers are able to brush across the stony scales as a mourning presence deep inside urges me to turn around, to stop looking. No, not an urge, a gentle probing request, a plea." End quote. When Con arrives during the Tookah Trial, there's a moment when Slotra plays a part in Ray's reaction. His savage stare, quote, casts a cord between my ribs down into the depths of my icy internal lake where it snags something heavy and thrashing that I can't quite glimpse, end quote. While she vehemently denies it, she is shaken from the relief that Khan is here with her. I'm not sure if this is just Slotra realizing that Khan is here to save Raeve, but it is fascinating that his stare snags Slotra within her icy lake. Her language in this section is also interesting as she describes herself shaking like an egg threatening to hatch. Ooh. Considering she literally did hatch from a fallen moon, I thought this was a cool, subtle connection. I do like that.
I know. I love that for sure. I do think it's so weird. His stare, it's like he's fishing. He's like, well, bam, gotcha, Slotra.
Gotcha.
That's like
I know you're in there. He's been hunting for all of the moon shards of Slotra. So it's like, does he like secretly know? I know that you're in there.
God, I don't know. Maybe. All right. Anyways, let's keep talking about the other.
Yes.
When Raigun's dragon flame illuminates Rave's various healing runes all over her body, we also get another related info drop. Quote, the light emitting from the old etchings rivals one of the moon plume moons perched within the shade's otherwise gloomy depths, end quote. I thought that was interesting. So the light from her runes is similar to the moon plume moons. And we also know from Agni later, when she looks at Raeve with her dragon sight, she sees the obscene amount of healing runes on Rave's body, in addition to, quote, one wound that doesn't appear to have been mended by runes. It glows a shade of silver I've never seen before. A killing wound. And I'm convinced this is the moon shard.
Yeah.
It's the missing moon shard.
Yeah. Because we know that Agni is a Rooney who has to get the dragon sight, which that runs in her family line, as she did state in the book. And dragon sight is the ability to see the trace of old runes. Agni also shares that Raeve has multiple layers of runes. This is likely the repeated injuries during her time with the Scavenger King. But as Kana said, Agni finds a different wound on her heart that isn't stained with runes, but it glows silver. So we know that the healing runes can only be seen by dragon sight or dragon flame. So why is this wound on her heart only visible by dragon sight if it was not healed with runes? And this kind of further proves that the other is probably Slotra. And again, her wound does glow silver. I went back and looked at the glossary and I read that moon plumes are known to be a gray pearl iridescent color. So I found this, again, very interesting because silver kind of corresponds with moon plumes, kind of corresponds with Slotra. Like, we know you're there.
We know you in there. I also thought it was interesting in this reveal. I think I said this a little earlier too. Like, we learn how Eluin was killed, stabbed to the heart.
Yeah.
That wasn't mended by runes, but instead has that silver glow you're talking about. So this is probably that missing moon shard from Slotra that possibly contains her essence within it, which I think mended Eluin's killing wound.
Yeah.
While she was in the moon with Slotra. I'm interested to learn exactly how Slotra healed her and like how she's inside Raeve. Hopefully we'll find out in future books, but
yeah,
who knows? All right, time to get on to my crack theory section. And I really went deep this time, so get ready. I have more and more theories each episode. The first one I want to talk about relates to Rave's destiny and the prophecy that the Joe Cole clan have. So, quote, you are Kolu. Your hair is like the eyes of the Fanika. You came to us on the eternal ribbon of blue, the river Ach. How do you say it?
I love how throaty that was.
Act. I don't know. Sorry, Sarah Parker. I'm butchering your shit right now. The river, you know what? It was foretold that the fate herder would bring you to us, that your offspring will tether the moons to the sky. So the soul of the Jokul clan foretold this many cycles ago, and it is giving prophecy and destiny. As much as Raeve desperately wants her freedom, this is just kind of bittersweet for us as readers. As much as we want her to achieve her destiny and fulfill the prophecy and make the world a better place, we know her struggles and the trauma she's been through. If anyone deserves freedom, it's her, but she can't escape her destiny of tethering the moons to the sky by her offspring. The fate herder and the events of the book thus far make sure that girl, you're not escaping this prophecy. She's trying to get out of here every other chapter, and then events keep happening. Yeah, you're stuck. Sorry, buddy. I also found it was interesting how this prophecy ties into the Joe Cole, and the very crater that they hold Rave's Tookah Trial in was caused by the fallen saber scythe moon Orva. Where this dragon fell, Raeve would then have the trial that would be a chapter in her fate and her destiny. And interesting enough, the creators also tell Soul that Raeve may not leave the crater unclaimed. And Soul reads their will, announcing that more moons will fall, and the Jokul will lose their sanctuary if she leaves unclaimed. So it seemed like the creators are pushing Raeve towards Khan. I'm assuming that they probably knew that he would show up in time to claim and save her, and I think he's obviously tied to her destiny and obviously their offspring, likely Kaisari, it's their child. So I think that the creators are also tied into the prophecy and are pushing it, which is interesting because they actually blamed Kalis for all the moons falling.
Yeah.
And I guess they believe as well that Raeve is the key to making it stop again.
Yeah, because Raeve is also a part of the bloodline that bears the Ether Stone. So there's also a connection there, too.
Yeah. My brain hurts.
Yeah, literally.
So many I'm surprised I'm not like dreaming about when the moon hatched.
Oh my god. Like I need more. I need answers. Like stat.
We got a ways to go before we get answers.
Yeah. Another theory that we want to touch on is the depth of Rai's power. Vroon, the owner of the curly quill, tells her, quote, "Rain is power. Half a world coated in powdered power no one is strong enough to wield. Though you could if you did not tuck sadness into the icy lake within you," end quote. According to Khan, it storms often and violently in the burn. Based on how strongly Raeve reacts to Rain's elemental song in chapter 54, we can assume that she has a strong affinity to this creator. In addition, this quote from Vroon hints that Raeve would be able to control the vast amount of snow in the shade via her strong connection to Rain, if only she was brave enough to use it. I definitely think this is foreshadowing book 2 or 3, and that Raeve will overcome these fears, and we will finally get a feel of just how strong she is as an elemental. We already know that she can hear 4 creators and has a strong affinity to Claude, which is impressive. Up to this point, we don't know how strongly she can use Ignos or Rain, but I'm willing to bet that she's going to shock us all. Also, to add to that, she can hear all 4 creators, and she has also bared the Ether Stone that holds Kalis. So, potentially, she could bear them all. I mean, she could hear them all.
That would be wild.
Yeah.
I just need to know if Kalis is bad or not.
I know.
Like, are you evil or are you...
Did they banned you for a reason, or like, are you just like the underdog that...
It doesn't really seem like it. It seems like they just blame the black sheep of the family.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to circle back to the Moonfalls and Kaisari on an unrelated-ish prophecy note. We do get some key foreshadowing that Kaisari is Rave's daughter in chapter 45. Khan, being the selfless king we all know and love, even though he's been reunited with his love after 123 years, he says, quote, "She's so much more than a power play, so much more than the love of my existence. There's someone out there who needs her more than any of us do, and it's not our fucking brother." This ties into our Kaisari Moonfall theory that we talked about last episode, and it also raises more questions. So obviously Khan is talking about Kaisari, and he's willing to put aside his own love for Raeve and their whole relationship because he knows that she has a daughter who needs her very desperately because she's been dealing with her dumbass, toxic-ass father her entire life up to this point.
Yeah.
This also raised more questions for me. Like, why did Raeve need to hatch if her already existing offspring Kaisari is already in the world? So the prophecy is that her offspring is going to be the one that tethers the moon to the sky. So why does Raeve need to be a part of this? Well, obviously, like, she's the main character, but why specifically? So there may be answers to this, but my prediction is that, like I said last episode, Kaisari awoke Raeve by taking off the iron necklace. But I also feel like Raeve is going to be a key part in saving Kaisari from the Scavenger King so that she can fulfill the prophecy of tethering the moons to the sky. I'm also wondering how Kalis plays into this again. Like, maybe he is responsible for the moons falling and the other creators were correct. Or maybe his relationship with Kaisari will set things right when she sets him free. He could also be responsible for Raeve hatching, either knowing that Kaisari will need her to fulfill her destiny, or he is manipulating her for a grander scheme. We have no idea. and it keeps me awake at night.
So this thought is kind of far-fetched. I don't know if it's actually going to make sense. While you were talking, I was picturing Kalis just getting really angry and wanting his own revenge, and he just started like making moons fall out of spite. But I don't know if that even makes sense. But you were saying that he might have something to do with it.
I'd be pissed.
Yeah.
I feel like my gut instinct is telling me that he's not going to be a good creator.
Yeah.
Or that he's manipulating Kaisari. I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll find out eventually. All right, let's get into our favorite moments and quotes, aka my favorite section.
Yes, I love talking about it.
And it was so hard to choose. I don't know about you, but as I was doing my reread, I just kept writing down like everything I wanted to put in favorite moments, and it was just too long. We just get so much of Khan and like really start to like, at least me, I started to really fall in love with him during this stretch of chapters, and I was like, oh, favorite moment. Oh, favorite moment. Oh my god, he's so wholesome.
Yep. I love him.
All right, what were your favorite moments and quotes?
Well, one of my favorite moments was when Raeve started to remember some of her past, which were the flashbacks we get in this stretch of chapters. We finally get our first glimpse of Raive's past through her eyes. And again, we did talk about her having a flashback in the midst of the Tookah Trial. When Khan offers his momer to Raeve so that she can stay in control of her body, yes, sir, Daddy Khan. The flashback reads his quote. And it's about to get juicy, so get ready. Quote, Khan's momer resting between my naked breasts, my body slick with sweat, as I writhe in rippling pleasure, looking past my navel, down between my split thighs that are gripped by large, powerful hands, down to where Khan's ember eyes are blazing for me, his tongue laving at my, end quote. Woo. It's getting hot. Hot damn. It's getting hot. First off, I love this scene, not because it's a little bit of spice, but I love that she has a flashback in this exact moment. She is slowly remembering the love that they once shared in another lifetime. And also, this entire scene was just so wholesome because Khan wasn't lying when he said he isn't one to take things from females that aren't giving. Because in this moment, he's offering up potentially his life so that Raeve is able to go out and make her own decisions and stay in control of her body. And he literally announces her as his greater, which is just so cute to me. Like, what man, literally, like, what man is going to put his pride aside and announce his girl, not as his equal, but his greater? I could, like, literally. Another one of my favorite moments was Vea's character intro. Think that Vea is probably top 5 characters for me. And I think that Sarah writes more than just relentless female main characters and just female characters in general. Her female characters are just so complex and have experienced so much trauma. I think we get this from Vea's first point of view in this book. We get a glimpse of all of her trauma and all the things that she's went through in her own Tookah Trial and with her brothers and her father in the past. My first impression of Vea was, damn, like, this girl is badass. I didn't know who she was at first when they introduced her, when Khan showed up with Raeve on the back of his dragon, and she was like, who is this? And I was like, oh, does he have a girl back home? Like, what's going on? Like, we're gonna have a cat fight? Like, I didn't think like sister. And then, of course, the iconic scene where she calls out his whole full government name. Like, I just loved her. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna love this girl. Like, she's like, she's great. Yes. And I love that both Raeve and Vea are just as tough as all the guys, and probably tougher. And I'm predicting a really cutesy but badass friendship in book 2 because they did bond.
Yeah, their scene where she like confronted Raeve and she woke up, I was just like laughing so hard. They clashed, but I'm like, yeah, you guys are definitely gonna be friends later.
She's like, break him again and I'll break you. I'm like, there you go. Yes. Because who's ever like really stood up to Raeve for real? Like, she's not afraid to say how she feels. Yeah. My next favorite part of the book was any part where Raeve calls something spangle shit. She says it so much during the Tookah Trial.
I feel like I just need to start cursing real life, like fantasy curses.
Yes.
Spangle shit. Oh.
Like, even during my reread, I laughed every time Raeve said spangle shit. And I love this so much. I found myself all week, like, just calling stuff spangle shit in my head. Like, I don't know. I just love it.
I love that.
And lastly, I love the fact that we get more of Khan's point of view. So for the past couple of episodes, I've been saying how bad I really wanted to know how Khan has been feeling and what's been going on in his sexy little brain. While Raeve is knocked out cold multiple times, we get some of Khan's thoughts. And I want to talk a little bit about this quote, and it is, quote, "I would have split the world if it did, then split my fucking self," end quote. And this is when Agni is working on Raeve, and I don't remember who said it, but somebody said that this was close to killing her, and I think it was Agni, saying that this was almost her, like, last straw. This is what he thought to himself in this moment. And I think that it's really interesting because we get like how he probably felt the first time when she died, like how he wanted to probably go out and just go on a whole killing spree, and then probably just like in himself and just go curl up with Raygun in the sky next to Slatra. I'm glad he didn't, because he would probably still be up there by himself. But I love that we got more of his point of view this chapters.
Yes, I love it. Some of my favorite moments, oh my gosh, I could talk about it forever. Anyways, the first one I want to talk about is Rave's interactions with Pyrock and Grimm, especially Pyrock. So when she first runs into these idiots, quote, "The male on the cedar continues to stare at me like I'm some strange creature he's never seen before. His complexion so wan, I wonder if he's coming down with something. Poor guy. Probably best I leave before I catch it too. Else I'll never make it back to the wall to flay Rexaros from cock to throat," end quote. And I laughed out loud at this. Raeve is thinking he ate some bad food and uses this as yet another reason to get the fuck out of Dom and get revenge, but really he's just totally in shock at seeing her again, and it was funny.
Yeah.
Also, Raeve and Pyrock's banter and interactions as he like takes her through Dom to the Curly Quill and to get a drink were like hilariously wholesome, and I just love their blooming friendship. And for all my ACOTAR people, I was like totally giving Cassian and Feyre vibes, and I'm just so here for it. I love it. Another one of my favorite kind of moments during these chapters is just Rave's strength of will. So prior to her trial, Rave's inner monologue reminds us of just how much she's been through in the past few days. And it is a lot. So, quote, "Over the last few Aurora cycles, I've cradled my Essie while she slipped away, said goodbye to Nee, been shot with an iron pin, and received so many lashes I passed out from the pain. I've been fed to a thunder of dragons, nearly swallowed, been turned down by the only male who's ever made my heart skip a beat, was swept off a cliff, and I am at my wit's end. I am not accepting this male's Malmor, no matter how exceptional his battle skills are. I'd rather slam the small disc so far into his skull it cleaves through bone and punches into his squishy brain than bear this male's children."
Damn.
That's a lot. But regardless of these rather shitty few days, not to mention her past as a firelark, also not to mention what else is buried under her internal lake of doom, she refuses to let what is happening sway her will and will not let anyone else decide her fate. And I just love this for her, and it really speaks to her character and how strong she is. And my last favorite moment, usually Kenzie is the total sucker for romance, but oh my god, their love story during these chapters, both as Raeve and Khan and also Elioen and Khan, was just melting my heart. My favorite moment was when Elioen met Khan. Quote, "Creators, he was beautiful. There was something about the way he moved that made me picture a mountain crumbling. He looked right at me through eyes like crackling embers, and I think my heart stopped," end quote. Chef's kiss, Sarah A. Parker. You know how to write romance. I also thought it was really cool that when she looked at him, it made her picture a mountain crumbling, and we know that Khan has a really strong affinity to Boulder. So I just thought that was another cool and subtle connection. And I also had to include this, but when Khan held her while she was having like a literal spiraling mental breakdown, I just died inside when he was comforting her, and when he called her Moonbeam. Ugh,
I love that.
Double dead inside. Oh my god, I was for real dying. It was so cute.
He's so cute. I forgot about. I was like so focused on everything else. I forgot about the romance. Honestly, I like overlook the romance and stretch the chapters, which I'm okay with because we get a little bit more later on.
Shocking.
Yeah,
it's true.
All right, folks. Time to close out our chapter chat section and move on to our myths and magic portion, where we dive into the mythology that inspired When the Moon Hatched, as well as explaining a world building topic. Today, we will be explaining some of the geography and politics of this world. Feel free to skip ahead to our mini series if you feel like you're already an expert.
I actually did find some interesting mythology connections from a lot of the names and terms. Kolu, from what I researched, is a Lesotho, I hope I'm saying that right, South African name meaning mother of the nation, which I found was interesting since the prophecy in this context is saying like her offspring is going to save the world. And so she kind of is the mother savior of the nation in a sense. And Malmer, the necklaces that the Jokol clan wears. So this word actually has multiple meanings in Old Norse, but the most common meaning relates to like metals and ores, but it can also mean sandy plain. So considering we've only seen these Malmers in the burn up to this point, I feel like this was cool, maybe where she derived the idea. So we know that like in the Volcanic Plains, it's that sandy plain, and I think most of the Malmers are made of some kind of like metals and ores. So I'm guessing that's where she derived it. I feel like it's too related to not.
Yeah.
And then Vea, researching her name, I found a lot of mixed meanings on it. But the one I like the most as it relates to her character has Hindi origins. It means bird, which kind of symbolizes her freedom, the independence, and the ability to soar to new heights. And I feel like that's very fitting with her story.
I love that. Yeah. So Agni, interestingly, this is a Sanskrit name meaning fire or flame, and also the name of a Hindu fire god. Most meanings I found relate to fire in some sense, which is a cool connection since dragon sight runs strongly in her family line. Grim, while I couldn't find any exact spellings and corresponding meanings of his name, it does mean stern and severe in German. In Old Norse, Grim can also mean a masked person / shape changer. I may be grasping for straws here, but it could be interesting if he was a shapeshifter or not who he seems. Interesting.
Yeah, it definitely fits like the stern and severe because he's so serious. Yeah. Like in Conspov, when Grim says something, he's like shocked because he hasn't heard him talk in so long.
That is
so serious.
And it kind of like raises flags too, because like, why are you so quiet? Like, what are you hiding?
Why are we so suspicious of Grim?
I don't know.
I don't know. He's probably a good guy. I don't know.
Yeah. It's the all the research. Google always like has people like overthinking stuff.
Yeah, especially these books, man. You'll theorize on the smallest things. But that's what makes it fun.
Yeah. Lastly, Scrippy in Old Norse, this word means a grotesque monster. Seeing as Scrippy is a game of creature cards that trump one another, this may be where Sarah A. Parker drew inspiration from.
Scrippy sounds low-key fun.
I feel like every time they played
it's a card game I would actually understand.
Yeah, I feel like when they played it low-key, like I thought of Monopoly. Like it was like modern day Monopoly for me every time they played it. That's what I would think of. Or like Dungeons and Dragons. Maybe Dungeons and Dragons is a more like
I definitely didn't get Monopoly vibes. Okay.
Yeah, you're right. Honestly, it's getting more Dungeons and Dragons. Honestly,
I think so. It's okay. All right. So we're going to cover the world building topic of the day. So again, feel free to skip ahead. We're going to tackle geography and the kings of this world. So we'll start in the shade. It is the southern third of the world. And boy, oh boy, my seasonal depression would not function good over here. So no sunshine reaches it. It's always cast in darkness, only illuminated by the little aurora ribbons and the light from the moon plume moons. It's also extremely cold, covered in a massive amount of snow, and it's also where Eluin was born and raised. Arithia is the capital of the Shade, where Eluin and the Navan family previously lived until they were murdered, and then nasty old Tyroth Vagor took over and is now ruling it.
Yep. The Fade is the middle third of the world and also where Rave's story begins. K-Doc, I only care about my military might. Vagor is the current king. Dothia is his queen, and they have one son. The clouds are always colorful, and it is always golden hour. While beautiful, it is cold, snowy, but never rains. A massive stone wall circles the Fade like some sort of belt, and most homes are built within it. I'm sorry. I don't know if you can hear my voice breaking, but it was bad.
Oh, no, I couldn't.
Okay. In the most populated areas, such as Gore, the capital, there are trenches dug into the wall, creating a ditch with sky bridges stretching between both sides of the wall. The Undercity that Raeve mentions is directly below Gore, a hotspot for homeless folk, abandoned dragon bloodstone, mine shafts, and scary creatures. Drillgat is another portion of the Fade's wall, dedicated to their army, housing all of its fresh elemental conscripts that have been ripped from their homes. Their parents are paid with a bucket of dragon bloodstone. Don't know about you, but I had the hardest time picturing gore, and looking at some fan art definitely helped paint the picture in my mind. Yeah, I did have a
Yes.
really hard time picturing gore with all the
Like especially with
trenches
like the
and
ditch and the
yeah,
sky bridge and the wall and how there's like homes built into it. Like
yeah,
definitely look at some fan art. We can link some in the show
yeah,
notes as well. Let's do that. All right,
yeah,
let's talk about our favorite place, the Burn. It is the northern third of this world, ruled by our favorite, Convegor. It is almost always sunny, with the exception of the occasional violent storms, making it very hot here. It is made up of rainforests as well as vast sandy plains and large bodies of water. Dom is the capital of the Burn, residing near the shore of the Lough, a vast halo of water surrounding the saber scythe nesting grounds. The Lough is also known for hosting ancient beasts and unpredictable weather patterns. Many warrior clans, including the Joe Cole, reside in the Volcanic Plains of the Burn. All of these clans are renowned for producing strong and gifted warriors, who I'm assuming will be fighting with Khan against his two brothers in future books, as well as the armada he's building. I'm
yeah.
kind of wondering if he's going to ask the clans to fight with him, and if they will.
Yeah, because we know Liza said that their crowns mean nothing to the Jokul clan. So it will be interesting to see if they actually fight alongside Khan.
Yeah, it will be.
All right, moving on. It's time for our miniseries mix and match, where every week Kana and I will do 2 to 3 miniseries unique to our podcast. They won't be the same every week, so keep tuning in for all of the fun. First up is Kiss, Marry, Kill, followed by Reasons Why, a segment where we go into why we love or hate characters. Up first, Kana Darling.
Oh my goodness. All right. So my first Kiss, Marry, Kill is evil. And it's Hawk, Tyroth, and Rexaros. Literally the worst of the worst.
Literally. Damn. Okay.
Yeah.
So off rip, I'm gonna kill Tyroth because he killed our girl, Elowen.
Damn.
I just
revenge on her mind.
Is Raeve probably gonna get me for killing him for her? Probably, but Rexaros is still alive for her, and we know that she wants to kill him so bad. So, so probably kill Tyroth. I'll probably damn. Fuck, this is hard.
Yeah, dude, it's hard. There's honestly no good answer.
There's not. There's because I'm like thinking of scenarios in my head. I'm like, this is not good. Okay, wait. I want to kill Hawk. I feel like I'm gonna kill Hawk. Right. I'm gonna kill Hawk. I'll probably kiss Rexaros and I'll marry Tyroth. I know that was a weird switch up, but I could just do it. Our girl Raeve did and just like play both sides and just go snuggle with Khan behind his back. So
that's a solid plan. I feel like I would kill Rexaros off the bat, undoubtedly. I'm actually about to, in the next miniseries, I'm going to talk about how much I hate Rex. I got like a whole monologue on how much I hate him. I guess I'll marry Tyroth, and I was actually thinking along the same lines. I'm like, I'll marry him, but I don't have to like him.
Yeah.
And then I guess I'll kiss Hawk, and then like try and kill him afterwards.
Yeah.
And he's probably not ugly, so even though he's a little bitch, he is a giant warrior man. So
yeah,
there's that. All right, so my second and final Kiss, Marry, Kill is Pyrock, Grim, and Bea, our little inner circle members.
I'll probably just marry Bea off the rip. I love her so much. I'll probably just marry her. Like, just please marry me. I'll probably kiss Pyrock. Like, that's going to be a good time. And I feel like, I don't know, I feel like Pyrock is maybe gay. I don't know. He just gives off those vibes for me. I don't know. I don't know. Or maybe he's bisexual. I feel like Pyrock is giving me a sexual vibe.
He's a bisexual king.
Yeah. That's what it's giving. Like, I mean, hey, you know. And I'll probably kill Grim just because I don't know much about him. So, like, what am I missing out
Yeah.
on? Yeah.
I mean, I would kill Grim too because he's suspicious at this point for absolutely no reason, honestly. I would marry Pyrock because in my brain he's like the Cassian of the series, and you know how I feel about Cassian.
Yeah.
So I'd marry him so fast. And also, he sounds like he can make you laugh a lot. So
Yeah.
there's that. And then I would kiss Vea. I like would almost marry her, but like I think I'm mostly straight, so I guess I'll just. I feel like I would still enjoy kissing her though.
Yeah.
God, I hope my parents are.
All right.
All right.
Time for my selection. So my first kiss, marry, kill is the Chancellor during Rave's trial, the one with the micro cock.
Oh God.
The Scavenger King and Tarek from chapter 1.
Dude, this is even more evil than mine, honestly.
I thought long and hard about this.
I'm speechless, honestly. Okay. I don't want to kiss any of them. I feel like the Chancellor is like the least bad, so I guess I would marry him and just hope he doesn't have a microcock.
Yep.
He probably does though.
He probably does.
Ooh. Okay, I couldn't kiss the scavenger. Like, he is such a sadistic little prick. The Scavenger King. He's gonna have to die. And as much as I absolutely hate Tarek, you little rapey fuck, I'll just have to kiss him. I'm gonna have to do it.
I would probably
situation.
I would probably kiss Tarek, but like pretend like I'm kissing him to get close enough to stab him and kill him. Yeah. So I would probably kiss.
I love how our reaction is like, I'll do it, but I'm gonna kill him.
Yeah. Like, it's a part of a grander scheme.
Yes.
So I'll probably kiss Tarek. I'll have to kill the Scavenger King. I don't know. Like, I picture him in my mind. For some reason, when I read this book, I pictured the Scavenger King kind of like a skeleton almost. Like, I don't know. He's just this weird, like, scary guy.
Too.
Yeah. He's like this weird, scary looking dude. So I would probably kill the Scavenger King and just marry the Chancellor and just hope that like I can like find happiness elsewhere.
I love this.
And then my next selection is Serene, Hadian, and Essie.
All right, I kill Serene so fucking fast. It's not even a question. I would marry Hadian. He's probably a good guy, and I guess I'll kiss Essie. Yeah, she seems cool. What about you?
I'm just gonna go off a whim here and just say some crazy shit. I would probably kill Essie because she's gonna die anyways.
Oh my god, she's ruthless.
Just to make it fun, I'll probably kill Essie, kiss Serene, and then probably marry Hadian because he has a dragon.
God damn, you took a for what I did.
But I'm only marrying Hadian for the dragon.
Serene was probably a fun time in the sack, let's be honest. Mm-hmm. The mean ones usually are.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna get into our second mini-series, reasons why we love/hate characters. So I did two different sides of the coin. So I want to talk about Vea first. I fell in love with her so fast, mostly because of her spunky personality and that she's not afraid to challenge really anybody, namely her brother Khan. She also has that fiercely protective nature that he does as well, shown by her punching Khan as a result of her anger over Rave's state and also the confusion of her just being there and being alive. So when Agni tells her she didn't want to add fuel to the flames regarding Rave's killing wound by not telling Khan, Vea's inner monologue had me cracking up. Quote, so she's telling the one who threw herself across the table and punched the king 3 times before she was manhandled into submission? Nice. End quote. This had me cackling. And speaking of manhandled, I am also shipping her and Grim low-key, even though I don't know how I feel about him yet. Because there was a moment when there was kind of a hint to her having affections toward him. And he's such a mystery broody boy, and if he's not evil, I need his backstory. I don't think he's evil. I don't know why we think he's evil.
I don't know. It's Google. It's Google's fault.
Yeah, it really is. And then also when her toxic ass father slut shames her, the inner monologue strikes again, where he called it disgraceful, quote, I called it sweet, pleasurable revenge and decided Ma would have smiled at me, given me a pat on the head, and told me I could fuck whoever I felt inclined to fuck. Or nobody at all if that's what I wanted. I like to think I inherited all my fabulous traits from her. Certainly not the asshole who sired me. Love that. I just love it. Feminist queen.
Yes.
So switching it up, other side of the coin, I'm going to talk about how much I hate Rex Saros. Hate this guy. So my friend Bibi and I, who actually just got into fantasy reading, we just started a roast list, aka people we would feed to our dragons if we had one, and this motherfucker is at the very top.
I love that.
So not only is he a piece of shit who whipped Raeve, works for a corrupt kingdom, and only cares about his own ambition, arguably, worst of all, he's an animal abuser. Ugh. I know that we aren't there yet, but towards the end of the book, we get a scene where we fully realize how he treats poor Leary, and it just literally broke my heart. Like, I literally cried. Ugh. And that's why this mofo needs to be roasted alive and gave to a dragon as a snack.
Yes.
I hate him.
So I'm going to talk about how much I love Agni. Yeah. I feel like, I don't know, I'm getting like my fourth wing stand here. Like me, just as a fourth wing lover, I'm kind of getting like healer vibes. So I love that she's a Rooney. So she already can understand different things, and she has the freaking gift of dragon sight. So I feel like this just makes her really powerful, and I feel like she's gonna be featured a lot more, and maybe in book 2 and book 3, and maybe play some bigger roles in the future books, depending on how bad this war is. I also feel like she might be able to crack some codes between Elwyn's past with her dragon sight. So I don't know. I'm loving her role that she's playing right now. I think I like her more than her sister. Sorry, Bia.
Bia TV.
I also love that she works for the freaking best king there is, which is Con Luke Fabor.
Yeah, true that. She's also so talented. Like the Roonies, it's like the buttons or something on their cloaks that signify like how many like skills and talents they have, and she had like 20 something, which was like a lot for a Rooney. So
right.
Our girl is genius.
I feel like she was probably one of, aside from Vea, she was one of my favorite new characters that was introduced to stretch chapters. Aside from, I feel like I didn't connect that much to Pyrock and Grimm as much as you did, but I really did love the little glimpses of Agni that we got. I feel like if I was in this book, if I was in this world, I would be a Rooney. I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like I would. I'm just such a nerd.
I like that we're different in that way.
Yeah. Yeah. I would just befriend Kana and ride on the back of her dragon all the time. Yeah.
Hey, girl. My dragon's your dragon.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Next, I'm going to talk about how much I hate...
Who do you hate the most?
Who do I hate the most? I kind of want to talk about how much I hate the Scavenger King, honestly.
I'm here for it.
Because
I'm always here for Scavenger King slander.
Yes, because first off, he's the reason behind all of Rave's deep trauma. And I'm like, what did he put her through to have her afraid? She loves dragons so much and she's so attracted to the moons, but she is afraid of the one thing that these beasts are made of, which is fire. So it's like, what did she go through for her to be so afraid of fire and for her to just bear all of this trauma and just want to ignore it and bury it in her lake? And also he's holding Kaizari captive, like held Raeve captive, and now he's holding Kaizari captive. So what is his motive here?
Well, we know, I think, I can't remember at what point in the book we learned this, or maybe we already have.
I think it's the last, his point of view. Yeah. Because he's like the secret
he wants to kill
brother.
Khan and take over the burn.
Yeah.
He's salty. Another reason why we hate him. Don't touch our man.
Literally. I hate this guy.
He's the worst.
Yeah.
All right. So before we close out our episode today, it's time for our trial. by trivia. So Mackenzie and I are going to give each other a couple trivia questions, and our listeners included. And at the end of our When the Moon Hatched coverage, we'll tally up who has the most points, and the loser will have to do something embarrassing or funny that the winner or you guys as fans come up with. So we'd love to hear your feedback, ideas, and participation. And I believe the score is Kana 3, Mackenzie 0.
I'm really bad at trivia,
Because
guys.
I went. No, I just went straight for the hardest questions possible.
Literally the stuff that everybody overlooks in the books. Kana's like, what is this?
I'm just like going through and I'm like, would she know that? Probably not. I'm definitely picking.
Probably not. Yeah, no. So, what are the 4 colors that are associated with the 4 elements aside from Kalis? So, the other 4.
Oh my god. Smash. Okay. Red, Ignos. Blue, Rain. Clear, Clode. Brown, Boulder.
Damn it. What?
Dude, I've read this book 3 times. You gotta quiz me. The one you had about how many hours she sang, that was...
Yeah, because it was so specific.
For that one.
Yeah.
It's very specific. All right. What is another word for marriage in this world?
Isn't it binding?
Mm-hmm. You got it.
I got a question. I'm so happy.
You have 1. I have 4. You really don't have to pull through these last couple weeks unless you want to do something embarrassing. All right. Okay. Hit me with the next one. I'm ready.
Okay. All right. I feel like this one is really hard.
Oh, God. How
How many belted billows sculpted the spear? Wait, hold on. So wait.
What?
Wait, okay. How many belted bellows did Boulder use to sculpt the world? The spears, like the world.
Oh, for fuck's sake. 3.
No,
That was very specific.
it was 1. Because he's a badass.
I should have known. Yeah, I should have known. Come on, you don't need 3. It's a 1-for-1 special. Okay.
I had to throw something specific in there because you're always like, what is this? I'm like,
all right, I see you coming in with the sabotage in the 3rd quarter.
The 3rd quarter.
Okay. This one's also hard.
Okay.
How many arms and legs does a velvet trog have?
What the fuck is that? Oh, is it the thing in the beginning of the book that's like when she's like on her way to the Hungry Hollow, she meets it like in the stairway or something? Is that what we're talking about?
The velvet trog is the one that lives in like the trash chute that Vea has to go get the diary or to go get her thing from.
Okay.
I guess you're gonna have to guess.
How many arms and legs? I'm gonna guess 8.
How many each though?
Each?
Yeah, like how many arms and how many legs?
God damn. I'm gonna guess 4 each.
You're like half correct. I'll give you half a point.
Is it 8 each?
It has 4 arms and no legs.
Okay.
It was kind of an evil trick question.
Oh wow, a trick question.
I know. All right, Kenzie has 1.5 points, and I have 4.
Hey, it's still time for comeback.
We still got 2 more episodes, so you can pull through. We can do 3 next week if you want.
Well, let me do my mental math. 2. If I can get 4. Oh yeah, no, I'm fine. If I can just get all the questions right the next 2. Yeah. The next 2.
Well, I guess you're gonna have to study.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to study.
I'll try not to be too specific, but no promises. I'm highly competitive. All right. That is a wrap on today's episode, folks. Thanks for tuning in. We really hope you enjoyed this episode and appreciate the support you've shown us in our adventure.
Join us next Thursday for a brand new episode where we will be covering chapters 55 through 77, pages 448 through 586 for your reread or to refresh your memory.
Yes, as always, we appreciate any and all feedback from our wonderful listeners. Reach out to us on our socials and tell us what you liked, what you didn't, or just reach out if you want to talk about When the Moon Hatched with us. This is a newer podcast, and we would like to see it grow with your help. So please take the time to leave us a review, follow us on social media and all major podcast platforms for a freshly baked episode to be delivered to you next week.
Bye, friends. See you next week.
Bye, lovelies. Take care of yourself. Take care of others. We'll see you next week.